My name is Steve Linders. I'm a public information officer with the St. Paul Police Department. My name is spelled Stevelinders. Sadly, today we're here to talk about a tragedy on top of a tragedy. Back on February 1st, a young man was shot and killed in our city. Today his family and friends and loved ones gathered to lay him to rest. Unfortunately, there was a shooting that took another man's life. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we know at this time and answer any questions, but please keep in mind that we're early on in the investigation. There's some things we don't know yet, and there's some things we won't share to protect the integrity of the investigation. The first 911 call came in just before 11:20 this morning, a report of multiple shots fired. Our officers rushed to the scene, and when they got there, they found 4 adult males suffering from gunshot wounds. One male was grazed in the cheek, another male was shot in the neck, another male was shot in the stomach, back, and leg, and another male who's 28 was shot in the throat. St. Paul fire medics responded to the scene and rushed them to Regents Hospital. One of the men is in critical condition right now, fighting for his life. Sadly, the 28-year-old who was shot in the throat passed away. He succumbed to his injuries, and so now we have a homicide investigation. You've probably been out there. Our patrol officers are holding the scene while our investigators look for possible witnesses. Members of our forensic services unit are gathering evidence, and of course our video management unit will respond to look for any surveillance video that exists. At this time, no arrests have been made. I just talked to our investigators. They don't believe this was a random incident. Like I said, it's a tragedy on top of a tragedy. A family was there to gather to mourn and to celebrate a life, and we had a shooting that took another life. The Ramsey County Medical Examiner will conduct an autopsy, probably tomorrow, and will identify the deceased and share any other information on our Twitter account about this case at that time. That's what we know. I can take your questions if you have any.
Was the hospital on lockdown at all because of the nature of this shooting?
I don't know. I can tell you, Reg, that we had officers both at the scene and we had officers at Regions to try to help. Obviously, people are grieving, people are emotional, but you'd have to ask the hospital if they went on lockdown.
I just want to clarify, we heard reports that maybe 6 people had been shot. You're saying now that there were only 4?
We have confirmed that there were 4 people shot, one of whom died. A short time after the shooting, a 17-year-old was dropped off at Regions. He was suffering from 3 gunshot wounds to his legs. It's unclear at this time if he was at the funeral home where the original shooting took place. It certainly is possible. In these cases, sometimes we get cooperation from witnesses and victims, and sometimes we don't. So we're still working through some of those issues.
Mr. Linders, was this an exchange of gunfire? Were there people shooting at the funeral and people shooting back?
My understanding is that there were multiple shooters, and it's certainly possible that it was an exchange of gunfire. Haven't confirmed that yet. But I can tell you there were multiple shooters. There were bullets flying around. Very dangerous and scary situation.
Do you happen to know age range of the other victims?
Yeah, I can tell you that. So there was a man in his 30s who was struck in the neck. A man in his 20s was grazed in the face. Another man in his 20s was shot in the abdomen, back, and leg, and he's currently in critical condition fighting for his life. And the 28-year-old man was shot in the throat, and he died.
Do we have any leads on suspects? Anyone that you're looking for, description of the vehicle?
That's a great question. At this time, we're asking for anyone with information about this incident to come forward, to call us at 651-266-5650. We have one of the best homicide units in the country, but without the community's partnership and engagement and communication, sometimes they can only take cases so far. So if somebody saw something, if somebody knows something, if somebody was in the area and something didn't feel right, call us. At this point, we haven't made any arrests.
Do you happen to know if any of the people that were shot were actually attending that funeral, or were the suspects, were they attending?
I don't know that.
And were the shootings inside the funeral home or outside?
Outside.
Outside.
The shooting took place outside.
Did you say?
Don't know until we find the people who pulled the trigger. We won't know the motive for sure.
This funeral, it sounds like funeral services for Casanova Carter. Have there been any arrests in his shooting or his death?
No, Mr. Carter was shot and killed on February 1st on the west side. Our investigators are working incredibly hard, but at this time, no arrests have been made.
Did you guys have extra security at the funeral, like a police presence even patrolling
nearby
the funeral?
I don't know that. I can tell you we had officers nearby, and we had officers in the area, and they were on scene incredibly quickly. And they rendered aid and secured the scene, which, as you can imagine, was chaotic. But yeah, we did have officers in the area.
I know you touched on this too, but Can you talk about just the danger of a shooting like this happening outside in the middle of the day with a lot of people around in the middle of a neighborhood?
Yeah, well, one shot being fired is too many and incredibly dangerous. When you take into account that there were multiple shooters and bullets flying through the air in various directions, it's incredibly dangerous for the people who live in the area, for the people who work in the area, for the people who are passing by, and certainly the people who are there to celebrate a life and mourn someone they loved. It just shouldn't happen, and it did, and we're all troubled by it, and we're going to do everything we can to find the people responsible and hold them accountable.
Thank you.
Any indication do you know of the relation of the victims, shooting victims, to Mr. Carter?
I don't know. I don't know that. So hopefully as the investigation plays out, we'll learn more about that.
Some of the family members had asked if police would be there at the funeral. Do you know if that was true? Like,
I don't know if family asked for that.
worried about something happening like this?
Yeah, I don't know if family asked about that. I can tell you that we had officers in the area. I can tell you that we have officers on the detail for the federal trial that's going on right now in downtown. And as soon as the shots were fired and they were reported, we pulled officers from that detail to head to the scenes. So, yeah, we did everything we could.
Any estimate or range for how many shots were fired?
Don't know yet. Don't know yet. Like I said, our forensic services unit is processing the scene right now, so they'll collect all the evidence and we'll get a better idea of exactly what happened.
Also, family members at the scene were saying that the funeral continued to go on after the shooting. Is that true?
I don't know that. I don't have that information. Okay, thank you.